Good morning, everyone. My name's Mary Copeland. Welcome to Compass Points. Today, we are going to have a presentation on scams and fraud. Our first presenter is Teresa, and she is going to kick off the presentation to help us all protect ourselves and our loved ones. So if everyone could put themselves on mute, presentation, it will give us all such as that. If we have ourselves on mute, we'll have the best audio, but we highly encourage questions. So either unmute yourself to ask a question or put it in the chat bar, and I will make sure to speak with the presenters and ask the question and get answers for you. Teresa, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming to this little event, and thank you, Mary, for hosting it. We're hoping that we'll be able to give you some good information that you can share with everybody you know, and who knows, maybe just by telling one or two people about something that you learned today, you might be able to save them a significant amount of money, because the scammers are out there and they are really putting in the efforts, and especially with the COVID and the vaccinations coming up and everything, they've just got all kinds of new scams going. So my role with the Secretary of State, Corporations and Charities Division is the Education and Outreach Coordinator. And before COVID, we partner with a number of other different agencies. Amy is from the United States Postal Inspection Service. That's a federal agency. We also partner with the Attorney General, and there's quite a few of us that we go around and we do workshops or presentations, basically fraud fairs. So we all have different areas of expertise with our agency. My specific area is charity fraud, how to recognize it, what kind of red flags to look for, and also how to vet a charity if you're interested in supporting it. The campaign that we have here at the Secretary of State's office is called Give Smart, and it's a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort between the Secretary of State and the Attorney General to educate and protect donors in Washington State. Our mission is to provide the tools and information that people need so that they have the knowledge that they need to make informed giving decisions. Because I know personally, if I give somebody $5 and the charity, the person that I'm intending to give it to actually only sees a nickel of it or 50 cents of it, that's going to concern me, because when I give charitable donations, I want it to benefit the charity, not somebody else. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show this film. So I'm going to unshare the screen I've got right now, and I'll start a new one. And you can get over and give me just a minute. Okay, so this that you see now is the Give Smart homepage. If you type sos.wa.gov/GiveSmart, this is the page that it'll bring you to. And as you see, we have a number of different resources there. And we also have this video. So you can bring this up and show this video to anybody. If you're visiting with someone, or if you're talking to them, having a Zoom meeting or something like that, recommend this video. I'm going to go ahead and play it now. Please let me know if you cannot hear it.
Hi, I'm Secretary of State Kim Wyman. We want Washingtonians to feel comfortable and safe when making charitable donations. My office has compiled this video, providing tips and other tools to help you avoid falling victim to fundraising scams. However, if there's a time you have questions, we hope you will not hesitate to call our charities program. Your charitable donation is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your time. Giving to others can improve their lives and yours. Helping support a charity or simply giving to those around you is a commendable action. However, in today's society, it's important to remember to always give smart. Hi, I'm Rebecca Sherrill. I'm the Charities Program Manager with the Secretary of State's office in Washington State. My staff often hear complaints from people who feel they've been victims of charities. Because their generosity can be taken advantage of, through everyday scenarios, we want to give you some tips on how to protect yourself. In our first scenario, Richard has just returned from his mailbox, where he found the usual number of charitable requests.
Bill, charity. Address label. Pretty nice. What does it say here? For the Society for Abandoned and Abused. Since they sent me these labels, I guess I might send them a couple of bucks.
This particular appeal uses animals in need to tug at your heartstrings, and it often works. Richard chose to give, but he didn't check to see if they were registered with our office or how his donation would be used. In Washington State, charities are required to include written disclosures when sending solicitations by mail. And did you know that many organizations sell their donors lists? Now that you know this, let's look at this again.
Just send me some address label. But they're not registered with the Secretary of State. And the address says the money gets sent to Minnesota. Well, I think I'll pass on this one, but I'm gonna keep the labels. They're gonna have that. What's this? Oh. This is from the food bank where my niece volunteers. I want to give locally. And it says here, it's got all the information. They're registered with the Secretary of State. I'm going to send them a few bucks this one.
Richard chose local as one of his criteria for giving. Some other criteria you might have would be specific causes such as cancer or diabetes research, helping the hungry or neglected children, or helping animals. Richard also knows the organization personally, and by checking the materials thoroughly, can see from the legally required disclosures that it's registered with our office. Still, it's a good idea to check our website or call our office to verify the information. There are so many worthy causes to give to, but please remember to give only what you can afford. In this next scenario, Jackie faces this problem when a pushy telemarketer tries to heckle her into a donation. Hello?
Hi, is this Jackie Lancaster?
Yes, who's calling?
I'm calling you because your local police need your help.
You do?
Yes, we're conducting a special drive to raise funds for the widows and children of police who've been killed in the line of duty, and you can help. For a small donation of $50, you'll receive a free gift, and your donation will help support police families.
I couldn't give that amount.
You can't afford not to donate. Without the police, you could be in danger. If we don't support their families, we won't be able to have enough police to help you. You have to give for your own safety.
Well, I guess I could give $25.
Well, every bit helps, but it would be better if you could give $50. Can't you find a way to trim an extra $25 off your budget? It is for the police, after all.
I guess I could do that.
That's great. I'll send a courier right over. You do have cash, don't you? You help us even more by giving cash. That way we don't have to pay a fee on a check. Actually, you know what? If you want, you can just give me your bank account number and we can do an electronic transfer. That way, we save you even more time and effort.
This fundraiser just broke every charitable solicitation law in Washington state. He didn't tell her his name or what charity he was raising money for. He didn't tell her where they are located. He asked for cash. That should alert you right there if something is wrong. It is also illegal to attempt to collect contributions by courier in Washington state, except in some circumstances. He was also asking for Jackie's bank account information. Never, ever give your bank account information to any organization you haven't researched ahead of time. Not to mention how disrespectful he was to Jackie on that call. It is always your choice to donate. If the fundraiser becomes aggressive or tries to bully you or guilt you into a donation, hang up the phone. Find another way to give. It is always your choice to make a donation. Keeping this in mind, let's see how Jackie could have handled this differently.
Hello.
Hi, is this Jackie Lancaster?
Yes, who's this?
I'm calling you because your local police need your help.
And who are you?
My name's Jason.
And who do you work for, Jason?
I work for the Ethical Fundraisers in Walla Walla, Washington, and we're having a special drive to raise funds for the widows and children of police who've been killed in the line of duty. For the small donation of $50, you can help.
And what organization are you raising funds for, Jason?
The Police Guild in your area.
Are you registered with the Secretary of State?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, we are.
And how much of my donation will go toward helping the families of police who've been killed in the line of duty?
Well, all of it, I guess. Well, most of it anyway.
Well, I need to give this some thought before I make a decision. But you have a nice day, Jason.
Wait a minute.
Twerp.
You always have the right to ask questions. Before giving any information, you have to make sure the person on the phone and the organization are genuine. If you're uncomfortable about it, ask the organization to send you a written request. Look it over carefully and take some time to do a little research. Be wary of callers posing as long-lost family or family member in need. This is a known scam. Also, be careful when donating online. Websites, pop-up windows, and emails can all look legitimate, but they deserve a second and third look as well. For a list of donating tips, you can check with the Secretary of State's office, the Washington State Attorney General's office, or your local Better Business Bureau. As the donor, you're the boss. You have the power to say yes or no. But do your research. Knowledge is the key to combating fraud. And if you'd like to learn more about a specific charity or telemarketer, or how to reduce your charitable solicitations mail, please contact the Charities Program, and we would be happy to answer your questions or send you written material to help.
Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wow, that was loud. Okay, let me get out of this window somehow.
So Teresa, are you going to go over what was in that video? Because I don't know.
I am. Just, yeah, hang on. I need to share this screen again. And once more, I'm going back to the Give Smart page. That's our homepage, sos.wa.gov/Give Smart. And from there, you'll be able to find the video, so you can play that anytime you want. And Mary, you can also find the link if you go, I think, to settings or
Don't see anything on your computer log that is causing that.
excuse me? I didn't understand that.
Not muted. We can hear you talking, just FYI.
Okay. And can you see the Give Smart screen? The web page?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. In Washington State, most charities are required by law to register with the Secretary of State and report their financial numbers to us and renew that every year. 95%, probably higher than that. Most of the things that you get in the mail asking for are actually coming from a commercial fundraiser. And a commercial fundraiser is basically an entity that enters into an agreement with the charity to do their. Commercial fundraisers are also required in Washington State to register, and so it's publicly available. You can see it on, let's see. You can see it on our website. Can you see I'm sharing the PowerPoint now. What is a commercial fundraiser? Is that what you're seeing? Okay, perfect. They're required to register with the Secretary of State. They are required to, the charity that enters into the contract with them is required to file a copy of that contract with the Secretary of State. So anytime you're checking out a charity that you're interested in supporting, you want to make sure that they're registered, number one. You want to make sure that if they are in a contract with a commercial fundraiser, that the contract is also on the website, that they have shared that. And you'll also be able to see how much money is actually going to the charity versus the commercial fundraiser. In Washington State, commercial fundraisers average about 50 cents of every dollar. In other words, they keep half of, on average, they keep about half of whatever is donated. I personally prefer to give directly to the charity. I don't really, I just don't even do the mail solicitations. They do sell their address lists. So anytime you get something in the mail and you send them a donation, legitimate charities, they all do this, they will put you in a database and they will sell that database to other charities. So as you saw in the film, Richard sent a check in for that charity and then all of a sudden he was just inundated with piles and piles of mail. And that will happen because they do share their mailing lists. Per RCW 1909, fundraisers are not supposed to lie to you. As you saw Jason, he doesn't really care about that. The scammers don't really care about the law because obviously they're trying to steal money from you. So they don't really care about the law, but per the law, fundraisers are not supposed to lie to you. They're not supposed to imply that your donation is tax deductible. If it's not, you can check that out at the IRS because they have to have a 501c3 status in order to be tax deductible. They're not supposed to use police, sheriff, firefighter, or a similar name without prior authorization. I suggest people that if they get a phone call from somebody wanting a donation to support their local sheriff's department or their local police department, call the local police department and ask them if they have a campaign, a fundraising campaign going, because a lot of the times there are fake ones out there. We get the jury duty scam. I don't know if you've heard about that one. Somebody calls, claims to be from your local sheriff's department. There's a warrant out for your arrest because you didn't show up for jury duty. But we can make that all okay right now. Just run down and get me a gift card and give me the numbers and we'll just quash it and pretend it never happened. They are doing that all over this country. And unfortunately, they sound a lot more convincing than I do. And they use fear, they use intimidation, especially with senior citizens who've been following the law all their life, to be threatened with jail or a warrant for their arrest. They use fear. So be aware of that. If somebody claims to be from a sheriff's department or whatever, hang up and call them back at a number that you have. they actually have software where they can make it look like it's coming from any number. So you may get a phone call that looks like it's coming from Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, but it's not actually. So that's why I say hang up, look up the number online or in phone book. Do we even have phone books anymore? And call the Sheriff's Department back and talk to them directly. You do that. They're not supposed to harass, intimidate, or torment you. They're not supposed to call before 8 or after 9 p.m. So if any of this happens, they're not supposed to send a courier, especially for a cash donation. So if any of this happens, we really want you to hang up, don't give them any information at all, and let the Attorney General's office know, because they are the enforcer. The Secretary of State's office, we are ministerial only. We have no authorization or ability to investigate or bust people who do this, but the Attorney General does. And so that's why we have the partnership. So if we hear of something that's not very cool, we can get a hold of the Attorney General and they will investigate and take action if necessary. So this is one of the flyers that we have. I will send Mary the PDF for this. It's also on the Give Smart page where you can download it yourself to your own. If you want to print it out, you can print it out, or you can just have it on your device. And so finally, have a giving plan in place. That's something that we really suggest. Decide, once a year, twice a year, however often works for you, how much money you want to donate to charity. Decide which charities you want to support and be sure to investigate them. Check them out first. Make sure that they're legitimate and that there hasn't been any complaints about them or they're not being investigated. So write that all down. How much do you have to give? Who do you want to give it to? That's called a giving plan. And then for the rest of the year, if somebody calls you and wants a charitable donation, you can just very honestly say, I've already got my giving plan in place. You're not on it. Sorry, maybe next year. Always ask the caller for his name or her name. Always ask what organization they're working for. Like I said, most of these phone calls that you get are coming from a commercial fundraiser, and they're supposed to disclose that. They're legally required to disclose that, but you might have to ask for it. Ask them how much of the donation will actually be going to the charity. They're supposed to disclose that as well. Ask if they're registered with the Secretary of State. That is probably the first question we always ask, my husband and I, because if it's a scammer and you start asking them questions, especially if they're registered, they're going to hang up on you and they're not going to share your number because they do not want to talk to people that know what questions to ask. Always verify. Like I said, they can tell you they're registered. Jason told Jackie that they were registered. It was a scam though. So always verify. Even if they tell you they're registered, go out to our website and verify that they are indeed. Ask them to mail you materials. A lot of them, especially the fraudulent ones, will want a decision right now. They'll make it seem like it's really urgent. You need to make a decision right now. Legitimate charities will want you to take as much time as you need to decide whether or not you're going to support them. Ask them to mail you materials, but keep in mind also that they will have your address information then, and they will add it to their mailing list, which again, they will share. Never, never give out your financial information, especially in an unsolicited call. And again, I'm going to go back over to, let's see if I can. I'm going to go back over to the Give Smart screen one more time. And for more, we have a lot of information out here. I really would encourage you to go through this and look at this. On the donor resources, we have the link to Consumer Protection Washington. We have all these different charity watchdogs. We also have links to the Attorney General's office where you can go in and file a complaint if you feel that somebody is not doing what they should be doing. We also have links to the Federal Trade Commission, the Internal Revenue Service, lots of really good information out there. You can go out and search. There's a link here where you can actually search on a charity to see if they are registered with the Secretary of State. You do not need a user account to do a search. Just scroll down, go right here, and you'll be able to search right there, either by the name or by the registration number. If you're not comfortable, or if you're not able to navigate it like you think you want to, or if you just want to talk to a charities person, you can call us at any time. Our number is right here. Oh, no, that's my number. You want to call the Charities Department, which the number is I will also put that in the anyway, if you call charities, somebody will answer the phone. A live person will answer the phone and will talk to you and help you do a search on any charities that you want to check out. So feel free to call us. You can call me. My phone number is on the Give Smart page. And we really, really encourage you to check them out. And if you're suspicious for any reason, if you think that they're doing something that's not kosher, please contact the Attorney General's office, because they have an entire team of people dedicated to investigating the scammers that are claiming to be charities and taking money from people. So that is basically all that I have to share on charity fraud. Again, we have lots of material. I have hard copy, I have magnets, I have the flyer. If you want to give me a call or send me an email, I can send you copies. Or like I said, you can always just copy them or download them from the website itself.
Teresa, I'll send an email to the folks that were on the call today with the contact information and the PDF that you send me. My father happens to be on the call right now, and he lives in North Carolina. So is it fair to assume that North Carolina Secretary of State's office and other states around the country have the same programs and websites out there to help with scams?
I am going to look at this real quick, because some places the Attorney General is they take care of the registration and all that kind of stuff. Let me look here really quick.
Well, maybe you can be looking while Amy starts, and then you can put it in the chat or share that with me.
Okay, I will do that. That's great.
And I can ask you what you found out, and you could share it with all of us. How's that?
Okay, great. Hopefully Amy's working, or her microphone's working now, so.
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yay! Yes! And good job working on that, Amy.
Oh, that's so exciting. Finally. Well, thank you so much for letting me speak here today. I'm going to see if I can get this, get my screen to share, and then do a little share screen, and you can look at my PowerPoint presentation.
While you're getting that ready, Amy, there is a question for you already. So I'm just going to put it out there so you can let us know if this answer will come up during your presentation. But the question is, what can you tell us about informed delivery as far as when we report missing mail? Does anyone ever do anything about it? Personally, I've had issues with our local post office, and most recently my W-2 was missing. I came in on the weekend very early, opened our box. The lock fell out and I took the mail that was there, but my W-2 was not. So it sounds like it's a post office box. I reported it immediately, went into the local office the following Monday about the lock, missing form. And in the meantime, I have had to do fraud alerts, all kinds of credit stuff, because I have no idea if it was stolen out of the box or if once again, they put it in the wrong box, but they were not helpful at all other than to fix the lock that day. I realize that sometimes mail doesn't arrive the same day as informed delivery states, but I kept checking with them for over 2 weeks.
So if the lock fell out, it sounds to me like it was stolen, possibly, in which case you should file a report. And you can do that through the website, through USPS website. There's a link to the inspection service on the, I believe it's the bottom right-hand side, and you can report mail theft. That would be your best avenue.
Thank you. And your screen share is viewable. I could see it in case you need to know.
Okay, is it showing the PowerPoint?
Yes, it says USPS next with the blue screen.
Okay, so it's not showing you the one that I want to show you. Because I've got a...
If you have it on
like,
the desktop, then you should be able to then click on it and share it.
did it change screens for you?
No, it has not.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me get to my meeting controls, which is annoying. So let's close this. Okay.
Good job.
Okay, so are you now seeing this, the PowerPoint? You're seeing the next screen here. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service is the law enforcement branch of the Postal Service?
Yes, we are.
Okay. It's not in PowerPoint presentation mode, but we'll take what we can get. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Amy Kirchhoff. I'm a postal inspector. The Postal Inspection Service is the law enforcement branch of the Postal Service. Most people have not necessarily heard of us, but we're one of the oldest federal law enforcement agencies. We were founded by Benjamin Franklin, 1776 when we were established. So it's been a long time. We investigate a lot of criminal activity that involves not only the mail, but against the postal system itself or employees. So robberies, burglaries, mail theft, as we've talked about already, drugs in the mail, dangerous mailings, right? We all are aware of the anthrax mailings in 2001, right before 9/11. And then mail fraud, which is what I work. And that's what we're here to talk about today, are different scams that individuals are receiving or vulnerable to receiving. And sometimes it isn't always through the mail, but a lot of times the mail is an element, which then makes it mail fraud. So if somebody receives a solicitation in the mail, it would be mail fraud. Or if you receive a phone call or an email, but you're told to mail money, money is still an element that being used, sent through the mail, it makes it mail fraud as well, because you're utilizing the mail to facilitate the scheme, and that's all it takes. So it's actually a great charge. Let's get down to a little bit of the statistics of what the issue is, the size of the issue. As recently as February of this year, the Federal Trade Commission put out a press release regarding the stats for the previous year. So in 2020, the Federal Trade Commission received more than 2.1 million fraud reports from consumers. And the Federal Trade Commission is kind of a, I don't know if clearinghouse is the best word, but they take reports from all types of different agencies. And so they actually store and share with other law enforcement agencies, et cetera, on the types of schemes and complaints from consumers. So they're the ones that kind of retain all that stuff. So how bad is it? 3.3 billion was lost to fraud in 2020, which is up from 1.8 billion in 2019. So the COVID pandemic did not help, because there's more people out there attempting to defraud people, and people are more susceptible to it because of the economic crunch that people are feeling because of COVID. And there were $1.2 billion in losses reported due to imposter scams. So what we're going to talk about are scams that are most commonly found in the US mail: lottery and sweepstakes fraud, which we'll talk more about, work from home fraud. There's a couple different types that we'll talk more in depth about. The grandparent scam. Hopefully you guys have all heard of that. It doesn't have to be a grandchild. We've returned money to someone who received a phone call that his son was in jail down in Florida, and he needed to send money to get him out. I think he was 91 and his son was in his 60s. In any event, we were able to stop the parcel and return the funds to the individual once his son just happened to stop by, and he's like, "I thought you were stuck in jail in Florida." And he's like, "I'm right here." So it's kind of crazy. So hopefully you guys are all aware of that, and that if somebody contacts you claiming to be a loved one and you need to send money to help them, and don't tell mom and dad I'm in trouble, you're really going to want to double check that. Grant scams, we'll talk more about those. Mystery shopper scams, very common. You'll receive a letter in the mail, possibly with a counterfeit check, maybe not, telling you to go, you're going to grade the service at a particular store, and they're going to want you either to wire money out using the funds from the check, or use the funds from the check to purchase like a gift card. A lot of times it's those Apple/iTunes gift cards, it's Amazon gift cards, could just be a Visa gift card, and they always want you to scratch the back of those numbers off and give them that information. Call it in or text it or whatever it is. And so you just don't want to do that. And then there's romance scams, which is so prevalent and such a problem. There's, nothing wrong with meeting someone online, but you really don't know who that person is. And once they start asking you for money, it's all over. Like, you should be worried. And they'll invest a lot of time into it. It might be 6 months. It might be a year, but they'll start asking you for money. And that's going to be your big red flag. So we'll talk in a little bit more detail about lottery and sweepstakes fraud. You'll see perhaps a letter in the mail, like the one here, stating that you've won. And of course you need to pay taxes and fees in order to collect your winnings. This, if they do have a check included, the check's going to be counterfeit, but it's going to look very, very real. Check stock is available at any office supply store, Office Depot, Staples, anything like that. So trying to look at a check to decide if it looks fake or not isn't going to tell you. And your bank isn't going to be able to tell you. You'll deposit it, and what they try to use are cashier's checks, because those, when they're real, are as good as cash. So let's say they put a hold on it. Even if the bank puts a hold on it for 5 days, it doesn't mean that it's been cleared or been paid by the bank that the check is drawn on. And it can take up to 30 days. So a lot of times people that have been victimized say, well, the bank, the hold came off, that means it cleared. They withdraw the funds, and that's not what the hold means. They're just only allowed to place holds for so long. There's a lot of bank regulations that don't allow you to place holds for as long as it may take for it to actually clear. So you want to be leery. You never have to pay to collect winnings. Yes, if you won the lottery, taxes would be owed, but they come out of the winnings, or you would pay them later. You don't pay them up front. So many people fall for this. It's frightening. Work from home scams, they're actually found on legitimate employment sites such as Indeed.com and Monster.com, or Craigslist, or just Facebook pop-ups and things like that. The sad part is that not only are the people that are looking for employment getting defrauded, but they're facilitating another fraud scam. And I'll give you some examples of that. The payroll specialist, it's a work from home scam. Once they've been hired, they'll receive an email with a PDF file for the checks and the postage labels, because they're going to be stuffing envelopes basically. And they're going to put the checks into the mail stream. That's their only job. And put the postage label on there and send them off. The checks are counterfeit and the postage is counterfeit. So we don't get paid either, the Postal Service. And the mailings actually relate to other fraud schemes that are already in motion. So the recipient of that mailing has already been contacted about a fraud scheme that can range, there's a wide range of different fraud schemes that utilize this. It could be, I'm selling something on eBay or Craigslist, and somebody's reached out to purchase it, but they're going to send a check for greater than the amount of the purchase price because they want the item shipped, or they're going to hire a mover and they want you to use the money from that check to pay for that service. And of course the check is bad and you've sent the money out and you're out. Or it could be any other type of fraud where you are going to deposit this check and be out money because you're sending it out. So the people that are doing this job don't realize that they're defrauding someone, and then eventually they don't get paid for their work. Or they might get what's called a lulling payment. They might get paid a little bit, which is far less than what they agreed to. It's pretty unfortunate. So you kind of want to be on the lookout for those if you're looking for work. Another one would be a reshipping scam, where you receive parcels and you're told to repackage them or consolidate the parcels and reship them out. The merchandise from those packages are all purchased with stolen credit cards. And the same thing, you're not going to get paid to do that work. So this is a pretty common scam. So please be careful when you're looking online for a job, which is, of course, a lot of people are right now if they've been impacted by COVID. You just really want to be cautious for anything that resembles these two scams. The other scam that is extremely prevalent, and I just got off the phone with a victim today who is out $15,000 from this scam. They're contacted on Facebook through Facebook Messenger by someone that's a friend or a relative, and they start telling them about a government grant. They're not actually talking to their friend or relative. The scammers are able to mimic their Facebook account of this person and start messaging individuals, telling them about this government grant, and then they get the information of a phone number or whomever to also apply for the grant, right? And of course you have to pay, and you're not going to get anything. So this individual sent $5,000 to Florida. He lives in Georgia, by the way. Anyway, sent $5,000 to Florida, then was told the parcel was intercepted by the IRS, and now he needed to pay $10,000, which he then sent to an address here in Washington. So don't trust anything online. It's very, very easy to conceal your true identity and to manipulate. So just don't believe people. You're going to want to verify, because every person who's then reached out to their friend and relative that they've seen this government scam through, they've had no idea. Where is this money going? Well, I can tell you if they're the individual here, and quite often the money is actually going to a money mule. And a money mule is someone who is receiving funds as a result of these fraud schemes and sending the money on. And you can be what's called a witting or unwitting money mule. And most of the time, people are unwitting. They don't know. They've typically are a victim of a scam. Let's say it's a lottery scam, and they've really sent all the money that they can send, because of course they keep tapping you for more and more money to pay for all these fees, and there's always something that goes wrong and you have to send more money in order to collect your winnings. And at some point you're going to run out, or you just say, I'm not doing this any longer, and they say, that's okay, we found a sponsor for you. Just receive funds and send them on, and you'll still be eligible to collect your winnings. And that's what they do. They collect the money, and sometimes they're told they can keep a portion of it because, you know, these fraudsters are very generous with other people's money, and they'll send it on. Give you a little bit of what that looks like. You know, somebody receives something in the mail, told to send money out, and so they'll send it. Could be a money order, could be cash, could be a wire transfer or a check. It goes to this individual who then forwards it on to the scammers, and it's just a vicious cycle. And we see money mules quite a bit in foreign scams. And I think the reason for that is the insulation that it provides, because it becomes more difficult to find out who the individuals are that are really behind the scam. The most layers that I've seen are 4 money mules deep, where every time I tried to contact the sender of the money, it's not a victim, it's a mule. And then I go to the next person, and it's another mule, and it's another mule. And those people had all been victimized in the past, and they've been turned into money mules. Here's another diagram to kind of show you where they do use multiple scams, the same individuals. So as the example I had here, this mule here in Washington, he's in Kent, he's 22 years old. I've talked to probably a dozen victims, and they have been victimized in a work at home scam, told that they could wrap their car with an advertisement and they would get $600 a week. A government grant, lottery, romance scams. All these different people are all sending money to the same kid, who's then turning around and buying Bitcoin. And he has so far laundered over $1 million. It's pretty sad, to be honest with you. Tactics that are used by fraudsters, Teresa touched on this earlier, that it's easy to spoof a phone number. There's actually apps for it, so you can make that phone call look like it's coming from anywhere, which the fraudsters try to lend legitimacy to their call. So when they say they're calling from an agency, a government agency or law enforcement agency, it looks like it. And you believe that because that's what your phone is telling you on the caller ID, but that doesn't mean anything. Another tactic used by the fraudsters is Google Maps. And that's where we get into kind of the nasty threat and intimidation, which is pretty common in some of the foreign fraud scams that are out there. These people aren't in the country. Most of them are in Nigeria or Jamaica. But if you stop sending money or you start refusing, they'll start threatening you and your family. And they'll use Google Maps to do it. They'll say, we've got people watching you. I know that you live in a blue house with a red door. And they start describing your house to you. Well, it freaks you out is what it does. The next step is they start sending people to your home so that you'll continue to talk to them, because maybe you keep hanging up. I have seen them call taxi cab companies, Uber drivers, pizza delivery, and Roto-Rooter. These people that show up at your house don't have any idea of what's going on. They were just hired to go to your house and hand you a phone, because they're gonna find you and keep harassing you. And the Uber driver was actually there to pick up the person to take them to the bank so they would go get more money. So just keep in mind, if you want to tell friends and loved ones that these are the tactics that are being used, these people aren't in the country, like I've said. They're not coming to get you. These are all just fear and intimidation. Another way that they try to keep the scams going are by promising you, right, your winnings are coming. Well, this is an actual safe that we pulled from the mail that was going to a lottery victim, and it was filled with newspaper. It didn't have her money in it. But of course, the answer is going to be that it was stolen, that was stolen out of the mail and replaced with this. So they do that to say, don't worry, we still have your money. We can replace your money. Just keep sending us more and we'll get it to you. How does this happen? Well, there are lead lists. This is actually out of a lead list broker's safe in Jamaica. Lead lists are the contacts, the name and phone numbers of individuals that have been victimized in the past, and a list of names, I'll call it the sucker list, pays anywhere from $3 to $7 per victim. So this had $1.3 million in a safe from a lead list broker, and there's his guns. It's I guess a viable business down there. It's also very violent. And this is an old statistic from 2008. And just in Montego Bay, Jamaica, there were 80 murders directly attributed to criminal organizations fighting over control of lead lists. So I bring that up because once you've been victimized, your information has been bought and sold, and you will keep getting hammered and hammered and hammered. They won't stop, but they'll find whatever it is that's going to kind of hit the right note with you and exploit it and steal from you. So we do encourage people that have been victimized to change their phone numbers. This is kind of something to look out for. You're going to see stacks of solicitations. This is a victim who received tons and tons of solicitations. Something to be aware of if you're concerned about a loved one. As far as how the money is being sent, we know it's being sent through the mail. They love cash and they love express mail because it's very fast delivery, typically one day. They also really like wires, whether it's Western Union or MoneyGram. Western Union and MoneyGram have been fined millions of dollars for allowing fraud to occur using their systems, and so they are more inclined to scrutinize when someone is sending wires if they might be a victim of fraud, and so they're trying to shut that down. We've talked about the value-added cards. You know, go buy this $500 gift card and tell me the numbers on the back. FedEx, DHL, more sophisticated now, they're using Cash App and Zoom. Zoom is an international app to send money. I'll try and, I know we're out of time. Why has this happened to the elderly? Why are they being victimized? They're targeted because hopefully when you're retired, you have funds, you know, you've worked your whole life and you've got savings. So there's money there potentially, and maybe they're lonely. They want that companionship, which I will tell you that these people that call spend a lot of time with victims. They really manipulate and make the person feel like that they're their friend. They learn everything about them, their kids' names, their grandkids, what they've done. They'll spend hours and hours with these individuals. And there's also a little bit of not wanting to be rude. There's a generational thing where I know for myself and maybe a lot of others, the phone rings. We even now have ways on our cell phone for it to say that it's a scam. We won't even answer it. Or as soon as somebody starts talking, we realize it's a scam, we hang up. And some people don't feel like they can do that, so they aren't hanging up the phone. Why are they duped? Well, we do know that as we get older, our judgment is impaired. The ability for you to recognize when someone's lying to you is diminished. You don't recognize if someone's not telling the truth, unfortunately. Something that you would have recognized as you were younger, you just don't as you're aging. Some things to look out for your friends and your loved ones: excessive phone calls, large volumes of mail that are solicitations, frequent trips to the post office or the bank, express mail. You shouldn't be receiving or sending express mail. It's really meant for as a business service, typically, and either large cash withdrawals or numerous cash withdrawals. Some things to do. This relates to the question earlier today of informed delivery. If you receive an email, you'll receive an email with the images of the incoming mail. So monitor bank accounts and spending, and then talk to your friends and family about it. That's all I've got. Sorry it went a little long, but we did it. We were successful.
The floor is open if people want to ask questions, and maybe if you stop the screen share, this way you could see people's faces, and
Yeah.
if anybody has questions, please unmute yourself. And we know we had technical difficulties this morning, so that's why we're going a little longer than normal, but I sent a message out to everybody and they said to keep going. So
Okay.
you have
You know
questions?
what? I'm not able to stop my screen sharing. I don't know if you can stop it, but it won't let me open up that window. So
Okay.
I apologize.
Yep. So do we have questions? Everybody, you can unmute yourself. Steve and Patty. Patty, did you have any questions? Was Amy able to answer some of your questions?
I don't really have a question. I mean, I've done everything, but even the local postmaster, because I was emailing about my issues, and, I said, maybe this is theft, I should report it. She didn't seem to care. She said, go to USPS and try to figure it out. And I've gotten more information from other people, credit bureaus and stuff, but it's become a nightmare. And I'm tired of the post office always saying, well, we must put it in the wrong box, or I'll get mail that's not our box number and you complain about it. And I just wondered, my big thing was, does anybody ever really bother to do anything about when you click on your informed delivery and you check mail piece was missing? Does that just go to Never Never Land?
That's a really good question. And I can't speak to when you say a piece was missing. It's a good question that I would have to look into as far as how that's reported. Mail theft is a huge problem, and it's actually a regional problem. It's really bad in like the New York on the east side. It's really, really bad on the West Coast. It's huge. It's a huge, huge problem. I recommend getting a locking mailbox if you don't have one. It sounds like you did, which, that's really all you can do.
Oh yeah, we got a post office box because the street we're on, the neighbors are all kind of separated a lot, but we all had like individual boxes up at the top row. They were all locking, secure, and everything. They were broken into twice several years ago. That's why we thought we'll be safe and get a PO box at our local post office and pay that way. Well,
right, and
same issue. So
that's frustrating, because really that's the best thing you can do. That's the recommendation, is to get a PO box. But if the lock was broken, which happens as well, people will break into those, unfortunately. I would go with the idea that it was potentially stolen, and it sounds like you've done the right things. You can report it online to us directly. We have mail theft inspectors here who do work mail theft cases, but touching base with your with the credit bureaus to monitor your credit, kind of going along the lines of, if it was stolen, that would be the avenue of where people would utilize that information to commit identity theft, and
right, so
trying to protect yourself in that way.
So where would I go to the USPS site for potentially stolen? Because I was even going to I thought maybe I should do a police report, but looking online at that and trying to figure out, I don't know if it really was mail theft. I mean, it's just that one piece that was missing. But, then they said, well, sometimes, informed delivery, it's not the same day. It's 2 or 3 days later. So I've I said, I understand that, but, so I'm just not sure where to go to the USPS site to actually report
It's
that.
in the chat bar for you, so just click on that link so you have it, and I'll try to copy it. I don't know if I can at the moment, but
Okay, thanks.
after the seminar is done, which is in a minute or two, Amy and Teresa can send me these links and I could put it in one email to everybody. Plus
Great,
I
thanks.
Yeah, that link, hopefully you can click on that link because that's exactly it. It does bring you to the inspection service website. If you just go to USPS, there is a link to the inspection service and it's on the bottom of the page. I believe it's on the right-hand side. But this link that Teresa sent out, thank you so much, Teresa, is perfect. And there's right at the top there, it shows you where you can report it.
I saved it just now so I can include that. And I have the other two that Teresa sent.
Wonderful.
Amy, thank you for your perseverance in getting your slideshow to work with us today. The information that the two of you have is invaluable. I will include the link in the email for the video that Teresa played because I don't know if it was just me, but the audio wasn't as good as it is when you do it straight from your own computer. So, Jim Fisher, do you have any questions? You're on mute, Dad. Go to the bottom left corner and unmute yourself.
Regina put in the chat that she wants to see the last slide about informed consent again.
And I wrote back to her and said that I recorded the whole thing and I sent her the link because we really don't have time for that. And she can pause on that screen and get the information from it. Or take a picture right now while it's up with your phone.
Yeah, I did that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Girls, thank you so much for the presentation today. As I said, the information was invaluable when I heard this in person. Richard, do you have any questions? Because I don't think you were at the meeting I was at when I met the folks.
No, I was in and out, but I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to stop the record right now.